Alright, so it's high time for us to start cutting the back piece of this kaftan. Okay, so I thought of showing you what I'm using to make this dress. I'm using a quality pepper lace, stoned. So I'm going to place my pepper lace right now. I want to cut what I have right now. So I have so much yard of it, so I'll just cut how many yards I'll be making use of right here for my paper lace. So I'm going to place on fold what I have on my pepper lace. Remember, I told you it's going to be on fold for both front piece and back piece. So this is it. Alright people, so I'm done cutting my back pattern right now, as you can see. So I added my seam allowances 0.5 on the armhole and 1 inch on the sides. I extended the length of my gown because I just made it with a shorter length on paper, so I have to extend. Okay, so now that we are done with the back, I'm going to take off my pattern so we'll be able to use this same pattern to cut our front pattern. Okay, so make sure you add your seam allowance all over. So this is the back piece of my kaftan dress. So I'm going to set the back piece aside right now, and then I'm going to cut the front pattern. So this is the front pattern neckline we are working with right now. So I'll cut off what I have right here. Alright, and then I'll also cut out carefully what I have on the armhole. So by doing this, you can actually use one pattern to cut your kaftan dress. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead to cut my front pattern right away. Alright, so I've gone ahead to cut my front pattern and I've added my seam allowances where necessary. Okay, so the front pattern I added 0.5 inch on the neckline, on the seam line, on the armhole line. Okay, so I just want to cross check if I have this. Okay, because you have to make sure you have exactly what you added on the what you drafted. Okay, so I just want to check because I'm seeing some part looking bigger. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to take off my pattern and we are done with this pattern. So I want to also note my placket. Remember, we measured it 2 inches above the underbust. So my placket is, I'm working with 9 inches. Okay, so I've taken note of it because I'm going to transfer it on my fabric. So if I add my seam allowance, I'll be cutting my placket at 9.5. So I'll take off my pattern, and next we want to do is to start working on the placket. So to work on the placket, you need to make a crease line. Okay, so I've already You can go to your ironing table to get that line defined. Okay, so let me just quickly iron it out so it makes a crease line for me, so we'll be able to work on our placket very easily. All right, so I've simply transferred my placket measurement to the front dress. So if you see here, you can see I've already had my marking of 9.5. So the placket is at 9.5, just as we drafted. Well, it depends on how long you want your placket to be or how short, but we are using 9.5, 2 inches above the under bust. So if you look well, I'll be zooming my camera for you to see. You can see I marked out a rectangular line. Okay, so from here to here is 1.25. From here, this is the center front, which I just ironed. I gave it a press so I can identify my center front line. So when I had my crease line, I drew my center front line, and from the center front I divided 1.25. that is 1 1/4. So this is my 1 1/4. I divided 1.25 by 2. So from the center line, I took what I had. From here, I took what I have after dividing 1.25. So from one end to the other, the width of what we have here is 1.25. That is what I'm trying to explain right here. So if you also look at this end, you notice a dovetail, okay, just like a triangle from one end to the other. So that is what we are going to use to make this placket. So now I'm going to carefully cut into my plackets. Okay, I'm going to cut right now, and I want you to also observe what I'm doing right here for the cutting of my plackets. So you have to follow this instruction if you want to get a perfect placket. So this is the center line. So from the center line, I'll move out by 1/4 of an inch. So I'll just carefully cut 1/4 of an inch from the center line. 1/4, it shouldn't be more than 1/4 of an inch. That is 0.25. So I'll keep cutting that 0.25 till I get to the dovetail. So another thing I want to talk about is dovetail measurement. From that dovetail measurement is 0.75. Okay, so I have it at 0.75. So I'll stop at the dovetail. Then I'll come in from this part on the center front line again, and I'll be measuring same 0.25. So in other words, I'm cutting off 1/2 inch as a whole from the center front. Please don't miss it. From the center front. So I'm taking my measurement from the center front. Okay, so you can see I'm carefully doing this because this can actually be technical. All right, so my cutting, I've gotten to the dovetail. So once I get to the dovetail, I'll just go ahead and cut out the piece. You can see the piece. So this is what we have. So you're expected to have this opening, as you can see right here. So after that,